So on this YouTube channel, you know, we spend a lot of time talking about sex and sexuality and identity and better understanding ourselves and accepting ourselves as we are. And so what if one of the things you discover is a little uncomfortable, goes a little bit against who you thought yourself as being, who you thought you were becoming? Because I think I might be going through a little bit of that right now regarding sexual attraction and sexual identity. I'm starting to realize that I actually think I don't like having sex with a lot of people. And I thought, because hey, why don't I just share more about my personal life with you all? I thought it'd be worth discussing today. So hey guys, it's nice to meet you. If we've never encountered each other before, my name is Kaylin, and I'm an ecstatic spirituality coach, somebody who helps people working on finding an integration between their sensuality, their sexuality, their spirituality, an authentic state of being, and finding a state of belonging within and without. So talking about my sex life is something I do fairly regularly on this channel, and if you follow me on Twitter, you might actually see more of it demonstrated than just talked about. But in that journey of sharing more of my sexual life, and having started a nude Twitter back in the spring of this year, and that new Twitter leading to an OnlyFans, I've been having a lot of external pressure for people being like, we want to see you engaging with other guys and see what that's like. And if you've watched my YouTube channel, then you know a little bit about my sexual history. You know that I was fully monogamous with my partner for 6.5 years, and then about 1.5 years ago we started opening things up, but I haven't done all that much. And before I met my husband, I didn't have all that many full sexual experiences. I went on lots and lots of dates, you know, maybe jerked off with a bunch of guys. Never really felt like I was getting like super intimate and sexual with them. And even still at this point in my journey, the number of guys I've topped and bottomed for, I can count on 2 hands still. Although I will say that number has grown considerably in the last few months due to us exploring and opening up to new things and me working through my own shame around sexuality and realizing the amount of internal slut shaming I've been doing. But recently we've had the opportunity to play with some really beautiful men. Inside, outside, really enjoyed their company, thought they were physically really quite stunning, and basically left the sexual experiences feeling very apathetic. Now, I do want to be clear that in almost all of these instances, these are individuals who, hey, we met online, and nice, right? Beautiful pictures, engaging conversation, but one of the things I'm really coming to appreciate is that attraction via pictures and video does not necessarily translate to attraction in real life. And in a lot of these instances, these are people who, when meeting them in person, didn't necessarily feel a sexual connection, which is not abnormal for me because I'm not somebody who feels sexual attraction actually all that often. It takes a pretty rare individual to really make me feel turned on. And so there have been quite a few instances now where I've agreed to engage sexually with someone when not really feeling like I truly and deeply wanted it. And to be honest, I think it's actually okay to make that decision because we have sex for a lot of other reasons than just attraction. We have sex for validation, that somebody values us and sees us and desires us. We have sex for recreation, something to do. We have sex in a bid for connection and a desire to be seen and a desire to be touched. There are a lot more reasons that people engage in sexual activity other than just, hey, I want the pleasure of 2 bodies coming together. And I think for me, this is actually the crux of the issue. For me, when I was younger, I really sought sexual attraction from other men and women as being a means of validating myself, of telling me I was worthy, telling me I was good enough because I didn't believe it. And so the idea of having somebody else desire me, want to touch me, want to engage with me, made me feel like I had a deeper sense of self-worth. And so as I've grown as a person and I've healed and I've started to believe that I actually am worthy of feeling decent about myself, that I am worthy of being considered desirable from someone else, that need has dropped considerably. And so if I'm being honest with myself, most of the times I've engaged sexually with people in the past is because I've wanted that validation that I no longer seek. In a very similar but different way, I used to really try to garner the attention of very masculine presenting men. People with like really big muscles or strong jawlines, thinking that if they desired me, then I must be good enough, that I must be of a certain type of caliber or something like that. And not that I consciously thought that, but in retrospect and reflection, I think that was kind of a big part of it. And similarly, as I've gotten to a place where I do feel really good about my body, and I do feel much more secure with my masculinity, and I do feel much more confident in myself and feeling good in myself and feeling desirable, like that desire to be with these hyper masculinized bodies has also become less interesting to me. I was saying to my husband just a couple days ago that it's funny, I find myself more and more being drawn to more petite framed guys, more like twinks, also younger as I'm now 35 and maybe transitioning into a different life phase. And those aren't things that I ever really desired before or found sexy or wanted to connect with. And so I really definitely see my sexual desires and my reasons for engaging with people changing. And what this means for me is as we continue to explore and I continue to open up my sexuality, realizing that there's just that finding genuine sexual connection and genuine pleasure is a little bit more difficult to do. Because when I have a really positive sexual experience, and that could be with my husband, or it could be with myself, or it could be with somebody else, when it finishes, I feel this beautiful sense of flow and tingling and juiciness and nourishment. I feel bettered for the experience. I feel more healthy. I feel more healed. I feel delicious. But so often in these sexual experiences I've been exploring, I leave being like, there were some good moments, there was some fun, there was some pleasure, but overall I didn't like it very much. And again, it's not a comment on the attractiveness of these guys because many of them have been very, aesthetically beautiful, but it's been more for me a lack of depth. And so I ask myself the question, and I think this really is a very valuable question, what is the purpose of sex for me right now? And what do I want to get out of it? And one of the things I keep coming back to is I really want to have a deep spiritual experience with my sexual connection. People who are open to being vulnerable, people who are open to being in their bodies, feeling their breath, connecting with their energy centers, being fully present to their sexual partners, viewing it as a healing experience, viewing it as an energetic exchange, viewing it as an opportunity to heal and grow and provide an offering to one another. For example, one thing that has become more clear to me that really turns me off is people who want to engage sexually when inebriated. So for example, this last week we had an experience with a guy, really wonderful person, enjoyed conversation. We went out and had dinner first, very much enjoyed it. But then as soon as we got back to our place and we're about to hook up, he asked if it'd be cool for him to take some THC and got blitzed, and I was really turned off by that because I want to have a very present sexual experience. I don't want to be with somebody who is disconnected from the present moment. Like, my husband knows I don't like to have sex with him if he's had more than one glass of wine. Like, it doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't feel good to me if there's something kind of blocking that ability to fully connect. And I want to be clear, that's just my preference. I'm not saying that having sex while in a chemically altered state is bad or wrong. It's just my preference. I don't feel like it's as genuine, and I don't find it as meaningful. And so when we bring all of this together, one, the fact that we mostly connect with people online and in-person versus digital connection is very different, and you may not be, or I might not be, fully attracted to somebody in person. Two, a lot of men do not approach sex from a spiritual point of view, a healing point of view. And three, a lot of guys can only have sex when chemically in an altered state. It's making it very difficult for me to want to truly have sexual experiences with anyone apart from myself or my husband. And I really do think that's a shame because I do view sexual energy as a very healing energy. I think in my own life, some of the most healing, transformative moments I've experienced, some of them, not all, but some of them, have been through physical intimacy. And I've seen the power firsthand of meaningful, focused, intentional sexual connection, providing beautiful transformation in my own life and in the life of others. So then the question becomes for me and people who are on similar paths, how do we cultivate those kind of connections? How do we put ourselves in spaces where A, we can figure out if there's an actual vibe between us, if this is somebody I actually want to engage with, before you have somebody take the trek over to your home and there's an expectation of something happening. B, kind of filter out people who aren't approaching sex from a mindful, meaningful, sacred sort of way. And then C, similarly, find if people are comfortable having sober sex. And I don't have a perfect answer for that right now. I mean, it's very difficult to find the right calibration, find the right sort of equation that gets all of these needs met. And frankly, that's why I count myself so blessed to have a partner who fulfills me sexually, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all of these ways, because it's so rare to find. Even when viewing it from just a purely sort of sexual point of view, a conjugal point of view of how we're going to connect in these intimate moments, let alone relationship stuff. And so it's something that I'm really sitting with, that what sex means to me is changing, what kind of people I'm attracted to is changing, and while I simultaneously work to overcome my slut shaming and my own sexual prejudice against being too promiscuous, also realizing that there's few and far between people I actually want to engage with, which is a challenging revelation when you have an OnlyFans account and a naked Twitter account where people are expecting that from you and just being like, oh, I'm a very sexual person. I love my sexual energy. I love sharing my sexual energy, but I think it's a rare individual that I actually want to connect with. So my point in sharing all of this is that perhaps this will be helpful for you, because I think the narrative that society tells us is that, especially as men, we should always be ready to go out and fuck. That our worth is often determined by the number of sexual partners we have, the quality of sex we're having, how long we're lasting in bed, and that these things shouldn't matter. That you should just always be hard and horny and ready to fuck. And frankly, I think that's not helpful. I think there's a lot of expectation for men to be studs and to be just willing to take it or penetrate anybody. And maybe if that's where you're at, that's beautiful. But if that's not where you're at, that's okay too. I really believe that this life is a continual, conscious reevaluation of what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Is it helping me grow into the person I want to be? And am I evolving in the ways that I find meaningful? So hopefully this gives you some permission on your path, whatever you're feeling, to feel more accepting of whatever is coming up for you. So I'm Kalen. If you ever want to do work one-on-one on your spiritual growth and development, feel free to reach out to me or through my website, Ecstatic Self. You can also check out my books, Journey to the Ecstatic Self, which is a non-fiction self-help book on learning to love and accept your radiant self, and also my fiction novel, which is also about learning to love and accept your radiant self, called I Dreamt of Flight. So much love and blessings to you. Thank you for your time today.